start, bench, sell. Kevin De Bruyne, Jude Bellingham, and Pedri.
Oh gosh, if it's a one-off game or something, I'm starting Kevin De Bruyne. I'm benching Jude Bellingham because you can't beat that off the bench. I'm selling Pedri because
Would that change with Gavi? Would the start, bench,
no,
sell change still? No, I agree with you.
no.
What's up, guys? Here with you at FC Wonderkid, episode 140. Here with my guy, Bretson. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, even though we were just snowed in, Alex. Alex and I, for everybody to know here, Alex and I were just talking off camera before we started this about snow. And you have never seen snow, correct?
I saw, like, frost in Ireland, but I've never seen snow.
Okay. Well, we've got over here about a half a foot of snow, and that's why we are filming early, and we are filming some really, really fun stuff to talk about, including all of the award shows, including, the
Transfers.
club football is back, the Copa del Rey. We got transfers heating up, and actually we're getting pretty close to the end of the month. But more importantly, we are filming early this weekend because it is a certain somebody's birthday. So I want everybody in the comments section to please wish Alex, FC Wonderkid, wish him a happy birthday in the comments. Please be nice, be happy. It's another year older for this man. I think you're like 10 years older than me now, right, Alex?
I'm still under 30, though. I'm still under 30, but thank you so much,
Yeah, you're
Bretson.
well under 30.
And thank you to everyone who comments, and thank you for being involved and watching us here at FC Wonderkid. I wasn't expecting that.
For sure.
But yes, an anniversary for me would be to talk about start, bench, sells. And we're going to do just that here in the intro of episode 140. And I think it's good to start here with a homerism, a word that I learned from you, mister. And let's start with a start, bench, sell of Antoine Silva, Diomande, and Levi Colville. I'm interested to know, how would you line these three?
Okay. Yeah, Colville's been phenomenal. But I still am going to, like, Antonio Silva. I feel like a lot has been kind of taken off his shoulders just for the net play of what has been going on. Benfica has been very much a team as of late. So I'm going to say start Antonio Silva. I'm going to say bench Levi Colville, and I'm going to say sell Ousmane Diomande. And that's not because I'm very sad for Côte d'Ivoire and their recent loss. They're humbling. I still think they can go far in the AFCON, but Diomande hasn't impressed me as much as the other two as of late.
Switch Levi Colville with Diomande, in my opinion, Bretson. People will say Portuguese bias, but it ain't Portuguese bias. So start Antonio Silva, bench Ousmane Diomande, and sell Levi Colville. All three, I think, will have a hand in their national teams. But Antonio Silva, generational talent right there. Soon, people will know. Diomande could leave Sporting for more than 17 million, Bretson.
I know, and I mean, you could get 100 plus, 110 plus for Ousmane Diomande and Gonçalo Inácio, depending on how much Liverpool wants him, or other clubs obviously will fight for him. But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, Diomande is great, but Colville for me could be a start simply because, you know me, I value versatility.
You followed him at Brighton a lot.
You can't argue. But I'll tell you what, I have been very, very impressed, not just with Inácio, not just with Diomande, not just with Antonio Silva. You want to talk versatility? I've been very impressed with Morato, 22-year-old. Came up through Benfica, right, and has taken some time to get into that 11.
I love Morato.
But just watching him versus Boavista, or watching what I could in terms of the highlights because I can't get the full game. He's impressed me. I think there's a lot more growth to go there, even at a more advanced Wonderkid age of 22. But I like it. Where's my young defenders at? We're still dealing with a 41-year-old Pep over at Porto. Where's my young defenders at? Come on.
I do think the center back, I do, but Pep's vital. Pep's one of the best center
of
backs
course.
I've ever seen in my life, and I'm very happy that he's still at Porto. Okay, I wanted to mention just that. But Morato's been playing at left back. Great mention, Bretson, and I absolutely love the guy. He came from São Paulo to Benfica, and he might, there's a chance, he might represent the Portuguese national team. Morato is considering it, and Morato, Antonio Silva, Gonçalo Inácio, the list would be really good, especially when we play with 3 center backs. But this is the first start bench cell. Let us know your decisions down below. An historic
I got one for you.
You got one for me. Yes.
Before you go historic, I want to keep it in that homerism type of vibe here. Okay. So here's my start bench cell for you. I'm surprising you because you didn't think I had any. I've got João Neves, I've got Aurélien Tchouameni, and I have Moises Caicedo.
Ooh,
think of them in their peak.
Okay. So I would start Aurélien Tchouameni. I think that Real Madrid have lost 2 games this season. Those 2 games, Tchouameni was on the bench. I would bench João Neves. João Neves is a phenom. João Neves is a generational talent at Benfica. And if you don't know, you soon will know. And I would sell Moises Caicedo. That is a tremendous talent too. But I believe highly in Tchouameni and in João Neves for the Portuguese and French national teams, respectively. I think they're not going to leave their national teams the next 10 years. Those 2 players.
That's a big tax write-off if you're selling Moises Caicedo, because you ain't going to get anywhere close to what Chelsea paid for him. That's for sure. But listen, do you feel Moises Caicedo can get back to that kind of world-beating form, or do you think he was overrated to begin with? I mean, I love Moises Caicedo. I still love Moises Caicedo. I think he will grow into it. What I think messed things up was the price tag.
Expectations.
And a little bit that transfer saga that happened there. So I'm in agreement with you. I would do the exact same thing. Tchouameni, start bench João Neves, and sell Moises Caicedo. But I still believe in Moises Caicedo. And I think we're going to see that more as Ecuador fight for the 2026 World Cup qualification. And I think he will, over time, build into that and show his best in that Chelsea midfield, although them calling back Cesare Cazadei is going to be pretty interesting, although they don't necessarily play the same position. They're going to have a crowded midfield there once again, right?
That's an interesting one, for sure. As a crowded midfield, and you got Enzo, Moises Caicedo, it's decisions that need to be done. But let us know. Do you agree? Do you disagree with the choices that we're making here at the start bench cell? And because you're mentioning like Portugal a lot, I just thought, why not mention the striker that is actually absolutely killing it here in Portugal with a start bench cell, making it a hard decision too for you, Breton. Start bench cell with Victor Gyökeres, Santiago Jimenez, and an Ivan Toney. Who would you start? Who would you bench? And who would you sell? It could be easy for you.
Well, it feels easy right now. Recency bias is definitely in effect. I think Victor Gyökeres can do it all. I think Santiago Jimenez is more limited than Victor Gyökeres. So I'm going to say start Victor Gyökeres. It's hard to believe he's still just 25 years old, right? I mean, there's still growing to do, but he's physical, he's big, he's kind of fast, freakishly fast for his size. He's skilled on the ball. So Gyökeres start. I'll bench Jimenez, and I'm gonna sell Ivan Toney just on feels, just on vibes. I have not enjoyed. I mean, Brentford treats him like the Messiah. And he constantly derides them in interviews and whatnot, and they've stood by him for 8 months. So Ivan Toney better come back and put 4 across the goal line versus Nottingham Forest to repay the faith that Brentford has had in him. But I'm kind of sick of it for all intents and purposes. So I guess begrudgingly, I will sell him because they're not going to get 100 million. They're not going to get 50 million for him. But he's probably the one that's most sell-worthy.
And then you have Sporting that's going to get 100 million for Gyökeres. And I'm with you, Brett. Victor Gyökeres has won the Player of the Month 3 times in a row. In 25 games, he's got 22 goals and 10 assists. He's the best player in the Portuguese league, and he just arrived. Immediate impact. It saddens me that I'm only going to see one season of Gyökeres. I would start Victor Gyökeres, I would bench Santiago Giménez, and I would sell Ivan Toney. And if you disagree with this start bench sell, in my view, I think you only watch the English league. And I don't want you guys to disagree, please, because trust, Santiago Giménez will start for the L3, and Victor Gyökeres, he's like the future of Sweden next to Alexander Isaac and other names. Lucas Gvardal, there's others.
Yeah.
But
and
yes.
when Gyökeres, it's hard to believe, right? That Gyökeres, and we're going to talk about Brighton a little bit later because they obviously have landed yet another Wonderkid, but it's hard to believe that Victor Gyökeres could be the front man for Brighton at this moment in time. And it just didn't work out that way. And he found his way to Coventry City. And then he found his way to Sporting. So there's a lot of like crazy scouting things that had to happen there for people to rationalize their decisions. One, for the exit from Brighton, and two, for the for Sporting to pluck him out of the English Championship. So I did get to see a little bit of action from that Vizela game.
Yes.
Sporting ended up winning 5-2, and it was like once the dam was broken open, Gyökeres was just having a field day. Him and Paulinho, who's been very good as of late, right, for Sporting.
Because of Gyökeres.
Yeah, so it's that heat check. I think we're going to have to add him to the PSV Eindhoven heat check that we do pretty much every week here. Victor Gyökeres is on his way to have a historic year. It's obviously the best year of his career.
The best year of Ruben Amorim, the coach's career, too, of Sporting. Sporting right now, if they win the league, it'll be the second time that Ruben Amorim wins it. Victor Gyökeres being the best player. Diomande, Gonçalo Inácio, Pedro Gonçalves, underrated player. Morita, that's representing now Japan. They have a very good squad and a lot of players to watch. Even a Marcus Edwards. Wow. If you know, you know, former Tottenham Academy player. But in the Portuguese league, Victor Gyökeres is the best player and best striker. Then you have Ivan Nilsson, I'd say is a very worthy name. Simon Banza too. Like best midfielder, no doubt it's João Neves. Phenomenal midfielder. And best goalkeeper is of Diogo Costa of Porto. So you have best striker at Sporting, best midfielder at Benfica, and best goalkeeper at Porto. You got it all clubs. And Trubin second.
How close is Trubin? Yeah,
exactly.
How close is Trubin, though, to Diogo Costa?
It's a debate. You can have a debate in the Portuguese league between Diogo Costa and Anatoly Trubin right now. Because Trubin has 8 clean sheets in the league in 14 games. He's very impactful. And 2, right now, if I got to say, best under 23 goalkeepers in the world, Trubin is for sure in that conversation too. And he costs 10 million with 40% future fee. That is very underrated deals. But it's a debate. Right. Let us know your choices. But since we're talking keepers, just to mention the historic one. Who would you start bench sell with? Manuel Neuer, Gianluigi Buffon, and Iker Casillas?
Oh my gosh! I grew up with Buffon. I grew up with Buffon in his prime. But I would have liked to have grown up with Buffon. I will start. I mean, Gigi Buffon is like just legend growing up with all the Serie A greats back when AC Milan, obviously before the demise of some of these clubs and the whole scandal and all that fun stuff. But Gigi Buffon for me, I start him. Got to start Gigi Buffon. I'm going to bench Iker Casillas, and I'm going to sell Manuel Neuer.
I'm going to start Neuer, and I'm going to bench Gigi Buffon. You're going to start Neuer. And I'm going to sell Casillas. What? I think Casillas was vital for the Real Madrid team. He wins the World Cup. Yeah. He wins the 2 Euros. But Gianluigi Buffon, I think, was the best goalkeeper in his era. And the best goalkeeper in the recent era, I think it's Manuel Neuer. He changed the position. He changed the sweeper keeper. I know, but it's still a debate. It's like you can put all three.
But he never did it elsewhere. For me, I mean, Iker Casillas.
Just like Casillas. I know. Yeah. At Porto, he did it. No, it's true. Yeah. It's true. Well mentioned. I get it. It's well mentioned because at Porto, Casillas was important. I remember.
Well, you know what always plays in my head? When Iker Casillas wins the World Cup and then kisses his future wife, if I'm not mistaken, right? That just that bumps him up. That just bumps him up high. No, just kidding. But
no, that's a core
that is
memory.
a tough. I do agree with you that Neuer definitely changed the position of sweeper keeper. But I just still can't. Casillas at his best, man. Casillas at his best for that Real Madrid team.
We disagree on Ter Stegen and Alisson, so I kind of look.
True.
It's understandable if we see the times. We're just changing the names. But since we're mentioning big teams, you got one more, and then I have the last one.
I got one more for you. I'm gonna go a little more FC Wonderkid lens here.
Okay.
As I hold the camera lens cap up. Okay. This is raw potential, not like right now. Who do you think has the highest potential start bench sell? Striker edition, young striker edition. Rasmus Winter-Holland, Matisse Tell, Evan Ferguson.
I think start Winter-Holland, Rasmus Winter-Holland, bench Evan Ferguson, and unfortunately sell Matisse Tell. I think the national team importance comes into hand with me. I think Denmark's future is with Rasmus Winter-Holland, and for sure. Ireland's future, if they're ever going to have success in the Euros, it's with Evan Ferguson having a big hand. And Matisse Tell, very talented, very good at Bayern Munich, but even to start at Bayern Munich, it's going to be very difficult for Matisse Tell. And even to start for the French national team too, it's going to be very difficult because Clairefontaine, the academy football there, is on another level. So, unfortunately, I'd have to sell Matisse Tell. But man, Bretson, you always call me lacking there because it's very hard with Matisse Tell. Because the talents, I don't know, but it's the club level that changes my opinion.
I'm 100% in there for you. I almost want that loan to like Eintracht Frankfurt to go through or something.
I like that.
And it's not going to happen because I feel like Matisse Tell has already said, "No, I'm here. I'm ready to fight."
But is that rumored?
But I think no, I made that up.
Because of Colomwani, that made total sense.
It would make, and Girassi at Stuttgart, right? I mean, there are mid-table or upper mid-table Bundesliga teams that could really, really give him the playing ground, right? The proving ground that he needs. And yeah, I get like he's super sub, whatever, and he scores a bunch of goals and he shows his freakish athletic ability and his prowess and all that good stuff sometimes with Bayern, and he learns the whole team structure and whatever. But I mean, Harry Kane's there, and he's bringing his posse in too. You've got Eric Dyer coming. You've got Trippier coming potentially. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. And I get you want to learn from Harry Kane, but Matisse Tell, he is a question mark, and he is, like you see, the ceiling is insanely high. It's whether or not he's ever going to be given the opportunity to like reach that ceiling, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. That's what I worry about.
I'm right now. That's a doubt for me. Last one, and because I see this a lot on Twitter and X and on Instagram, I saw this post a lot, and some Barca fans were going crazy. And I would go crazy too, okay? So a start bench sell with Kevin De Bruyne, Jude Bellingham, and Pedri. Who would you start? Who would you bench and who would you sell?
I mean, that's just setting things up. Oh, gosh. I mean, I'm going to start. If it's a one-off game or something, I'm starting Kevin De Bruyne. You're telling me he's healthy. I'm starting him. I'm benching Jude Bellingham because you can't beat that off the bench. And then I'm selling Pedri. Because,
would that change with Gavi? Would the start bench sell change still? No, I agree with you. I agree with you. Yeah, and every Barca fan needs to realize that Bellingham and De Bruyne are in a different level.
It certainly feels that way. And I don't know exactly what would put Pedri or Gavi above a Jude Bellingham for me at this moment, based on, the clear leadership and the clear, I don't know. I mean, just, it feels like everything he does right now is iconic.
Jude Bellingham.
Yeah, even losing to Atletico Madrid. No, just kidding. In the Copa del Rey. But no, I just, what he has done and how he has built his career so far, and still how young he is. I don't know how a Pedri or a Gavi would get up there. Maybe that Pedri, he had that period of time that ended up breaking him for a little while, where he was just so vital for Barcelona and for Spain. But if he gets back to that form, I still don't think that he goes above what Jude Bellingham has done so far this season and what he has shown in terms of his, stepping stones up from Birmingham to Dortmund to Real Madrid. So yeah, no, I don't know what it would take. It would take Jude Bellingham doing this for 10 more years to get above Kevin De Bruyne. So
5 more at least. 5 more at least with you. I'd start Kevin De Bruyne, the best midfielder in the world when he's in form. I would bench Jude Bellingham, and I would sell Pedri. It saddens me that I sell Pedri, but what Jude Bellingham's doing, you said it. He's the best midfielder in the world until Kevin De Bruyne knocked in and said, to Newcastle, here, I'm back. And yes,
I'm here.
Kyle Walker did say too. Kyle Walker said Kevin goes in that bracket with Lionel Messi and with Cristiano Ronaldo. Do you agree with this statement by Kyle Walker? Putting Kevin De Bruyne in the same level as Messi and Ronaldo?
No, I can't. I can't in any, okay. Club football capacity potentially, his consistency in terms of his identity and the trust that he's built with Pep Guardiola, but then you add in the country, right? Mm-hmm. You add in what they've done and what they've meant for their country. Obviously, he's meant a lot for Belgium. It just hasn't amounted to the success that they all expected from the golden generation. And in fact, I wouldn't call it a full-on failure, but they've been punching above, say, Belgian weight. But at the same time, we all expected more from that Lukaku, De Bruyne, Mertens. Hazard. You can name a whole bunch of others. Yeah, and you got the Alderweireld and Vertonghen in the back, and that's now getting phased out. New generation comes in. But so, yeah, I would not say that at all just yet, but he'd be like the tippy top of the tier right below Ronaldo and Messi.
But if Kevin De Bruyne wins the Euros with Belgium, and it wins the Champions League with Man City, a lot of people will start saying Ballon d'Or, and who can blame them? And that would be the first Ballon d'Or winner since Luka Modric. And I think it's Luka Modric, Kevin De Bruyne, and Toni Kroos, the 3 midfielders that marked the last 10 years in football at the highest level. Toni Kroos too. I forgot to say in the last podcast, but I gotta mention Toni Kroos in that level.
Of course.
Because at Bayern and at Real, those passes, the precision, it's unreal. But let us know, do you agree? Do you disagree with a lot that we've said? Because the talk is about the awards, about the start bench sell. And mentioning the awards, I'm here seeing a list that I actually didn't warn you that I had this written down, Breton, of the top 10 strikers by 442. Did you see that online? Who are the top 10 strikers by 442? And the list is number 1, Harry Kane, 2, Haaland, 3, Mbappe, 4, Osimhen, 5, Lautaro, Alexander Isak, 7, Darwin, number 8, and number 9, Alexander Isak. And the last 10th place, the number 10, is Santiago Jimenez. So for 442, Cristiano Ronaldo and Lewandowski are not in the top 10 strikers last year. It's mad that they don't put Ronaldo for me. It's mad, Breton.
Yeah, well,
the top goal scorer of 2023 is not in the top 10 strikers of 442.
Yeah, well, I mean that might be more a testament to, I guess, what they feel about the Saudi Pro League than anything else.
They don't feel the Saudi Pro League is better than the French league.
Oh my gosh, let's not get started with that. You know, you get bad press and then you get hit with this manufactured positive press. Just keep showing us the progress with Saudi Pro League. I mean, I keep coming back to looking at the Saudi Pro League games because Cristiano is right. I'm watching the Pro League. I'm not watching the games, but I'm certainly looking at it. And when Cristiano talks, I generally do listen. But I don't agree with that statement in any capacity because think of all the players that Ligue 1 has developed over the years. And yes, sold off. If you're talking about, say, a lopsided nature, which I think his quote is getting misconstrued by a lot of people out there, like him saying matter-of-factly Saudi Pro League is better. Saudi Pro League is a completely different league than Ligue 1, right? If you want to talk about PSG being the tippy top, whatever for as long as it has. But when I look at the development of Liga 1 players and where they go on to play and all that good stuff, and how they've built a ridiculous foundation for one of the most successful national teams of the last 20 plus years since 1998. And yeah, I can't agree with Cristiano, and I will not agree with Cristiano that Saudi Pro League will be a top 3 league at any point in the next 5 years, no matter how much money you throw at it.
But Bretson, you will agree with Cristiano Ronaldo in the sense that Ronaldo said that the favorites for the Champions League are Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and Man City. That is facts, what he's saying right there. No one is ahead of those 3 teams.
Yeah, I'd throw Inter in there just based on how cohesive they've looked as of these days. But and plus they made the final last year. So, but yeah, no, I can't not agree with him on that. But we're going to talk about Jordan Henderson and
we're mentioning the Globe Soccer Award in this case. Mentioning awards in this case, I wanted to say the fact that Messi didn't attend the FIFA Best Awards shows the importance and the credibility that he gives towards it, okay? I think that he wasn't expecting to win it, but you can't say that Messi doesn't deserve to win an award because he doesn't have the quality, because you're simply lying. Messi is one of the greatest players to ever have played this game, and he still is. Even playing in the United States, one of the greatest ever to play this game. Just like Cristiano Ronaldo. That's why it's embarrassing that 442 don't have him in the top 10 strikers. But I fully believe that Erling Haaland should have won FIFA the best. And I wouldn't be here saying it's a robbery, it's a stupid award, it's this, that, and the other thing if Messi wasn't even in the top 3. Because Messi's quality is immense, and it still is. And I think the greatness will be translated in the MLS next season. And I think Di Maria and Messi are going to play in the Olympics. So they're creating memories in Paris maybe in next summer before the Copa America. It's going to be a big year for Messi next year. A lot of people are going to hate on this, but it's going to be a big year for Messi in the MLS and for Argentina in the Copa America. Can he go to the World Cup? Maybe. The next World Cup in the States again. Do you reckon?
He has said it depends on how Copa America goes. But I think he's still relatively young. I mean, he could certainly play 2 years from now. That's what we're looking at, right? We're into 22 and a half. Yeah. Well, Ronaldo said he's playing. He's gonna beat that Japanese dude. He's gonna beat that Japanese dude that's still playing for
Portugal.
what Oliverense and Liga Sabseg or whatever it's called over there, right?
It's the second league, yes. Our second division.
The second league, okay. Well, I think Messi is going to have, he might not from a footballing perspective, aside from Copa America, from a club perspective, he might not have this awe-inspiring, seminal Major League Soccer moment that just, whatever. But from a influential side, from a cultural side, it is going to be a big, big couple years ahead. The same way for Ronaldo for the Mideast in terms of shedding light on those leagues and whatever their sporting project is and what they want to accomplish over there heading into things. There's multiple fronts here. But my issue, Alex, with the FIFA Pro and it's always the criteria. Like, just be as transparent as possible, please. Like with the criteria, and then stick to it, because a lot of us didn't think, say, the World Cup had anything to do with the FIFA Pro announcements, and then yet obviously it had to if you're picking Leo Messi at the top. But then there's the captaincy side of things, right? There's the captains that are announcing things, and you've got a lot of these guys that are picking Messi.
Mbappe, Neymar, Salah.
Yeah. So it's just confusing. And I know, it's kind of like all the award shows nowadays, you can't keep them together, whether it's the Golden Globes, the BAFTAs, the Oscars. I guess we're getting to that point with football too, but it just make your criteria as transparent as possible so people understand it, so you can look at it in one glance and say, yes, this makes sense, or, like a lot of people are saying, this is a robbery. It should have been Erling Haaland. And it was Erling Haaland for the Globe Soccer Awards, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, the Globe Soccer Awards, Erling Haaland won it. And even Ronaldo is pointing at Erling Haaland, saying he's going to win it, he's going to win it. And it is true.
Sure.
Mbappe's won it in the past, Cristiano Ronaldo has won it in the past, and now Erling Haaland has won it. Cristiano Ronaldo was nominated the best player in the Middle East, and 100% he is, being the top goal scorer of 2023 in all leagues in international football. So, yeah, I'm with you. So mentioning all this. Yeah. And FIFA the Best Award, the robbery wasn't the Messi Award. It was Rodri. Rodri not being in the FIFA Best 11 is a robbery in my view. The best CDM in the world. The man who makes Man City tick is not there. The man who scored the goal in the Champions League final is not there. That cannot be the case. That's the biggest robbery if we're mentioning all this. I wanted to say.
What's more ridiculous is you have 6 members, right, of the treble-winning Manchester City side, and one of them happens to not be Rodri. And I think that's where the limitation comes in, because apparently they picked that, and then I guess the last vote or whatever goes to the highest vote total. So you're always going to get a forward instead of another midfielder. Oh. If it was a midfielder, it would have been Rodri, but instead it was probably Vinicius or whoever on that Haaland, Mbappe, Messi, Vinicius 4-person forward line. But I mean, come on, Bernardo Silva over Rodri. While I believe Bernardo Silva's
different.
His influence to Manchester City could be argued to be almost as high up there as Rodri's. I don't think it surpasses Rodri to be there just yet, but it's pretty dang close.
By no means, I think it should be happen. And the FIFA Best Award, they need to fix towards getting more credibility. FIFA Best Awards will be more credible if they have Rodri in the Best 11. If they even do the picks live. Make the captains go live and do the picks live. Egypt with Mo Salah, France with Kylian Mbappe, Ronaldo going live and saying his picks of who should win the FIFA Best Award. That would be insane. The world would stop if that was the case, in my view. Let us know. Do you agree? Do you disagree with the Start Bench Cell, with the FIFA Best Award, with all that we mentioned until now? And since we're mentioning Real Madrid, Barcelona, Copa del Rey, oh my days. What a game by Antoine Griezmann. We're seeing one of the most underrated players in his generation. I think Thomas Müller and Antoine Griezmann are very underrated because they've been world-class consistently for a number of years. But Griezmann right now, this season, with 18 goals and 6 assists, it has to be mentioned. Congratulations, Griezmann, for being one of the best Frenchmen this last decade, 100%. It has to be mentioned.
And just a note to Carlo Ancelotti, you can't say that you're not going to take the Copa del Rey seriously after you take the Copa del Rey seriously after you lose 4-2.
Don't hate on Carlo. Don't hate on Carlo.
I'm not. I'm just saying, come on, take it with grace and just be like, yeah, Atletico beat us. They beat us in extra time. They beat us because they have Antoine Griezmann. And they also beat us because, I'm going to say it, I mean, Vinicius Jr. had a pretty bad day. Quite a few of Real Madrid.
Bellingham was not at his best.
Pretty bad. No, he was not at his best. And I guess that's going to happen. So if you've got a coach telling the players but not telling the media before the game that you're not going to take Copa del Rey seriously, but then you start an 11 that makes it look like you're going to take it seriously, aren't those players going to be playing as if they're not taking it seriously? And that's kind of what it felt like. But Atletico deserved to win. Barcelona, even though they got scored on by the Unionistas, they were able to get by and, setting up whatever. On to the next round in the Copa del Rey. Never a dull moment, that's for sure.
And Atletico de Madrid wins it.
Yeah. Well, what's Xavi saying about Barcelona now? He's still got sights on some sort of a treble, does he not?
Xavi said, I believe we can win the treble. Xavi said this. Do you believe, Breton?
Well, Champions League? Hell no.
La Liga? I don't think it's likely. So, Copa del Rey?
No, it's not. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, they can do that. Although Atletico Madrid is probably my my favorite right now.
Oh,
But
man.
but listen,
Look,
come on, Champions League. They're not winning with that roster right now.
No. Completely agree. Barcelona is by no means winning the Champions League. And if they sacked Laporta because he loses in the Champions League to Napoli, I don't think that should be the case. If he looks horrible at the end of the season in La Liga, I think that should be highly considered. Because the team, like, he's got good players. And I see even a lot of... Do you think Ronald Araújo will stay at Barca the next 2 years?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I
80
don't know
million.
where else.
People are
Yeah,
saying
where
80
else-
million to Bayern Munich.
Why can't I remember where did he come? Did he come straight from the
Peñarol.
Primera Division in Uruguay? Oh my gosh! Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that is impressive scouting. That's
Once
amazing.
again,
that is
like
amazing.
Pedri at Las Palmas, he didn't cost too much too. But I wanted
Yeah.
to mention Real Madrid on my end with this one, and I don't want to mention too much because Lucas Bergvall is a player that would be phenomenal for Barca, but it saddens me that I see a 10 million price tag being said it's way too much. That's the point that Barca's in right now. A sad position. That Benfica, I think Benfica has more power towards signing players right now in January than Barca. That's something wrong with that. But Real Madrid, Real Madrid's not signing anyone in January. That means that in the summer, once again, they're about to go bold. Jude Bellingham was their decision. Even Ibrahim Diaz, that was a very valuable transfer, happened. Now it's time for Alphonso Davies, for Henry to have his proper ceremony, and maybe a Kylian Mbappe. But if it doesn't happen with Kylian Mbappe, it's worse for Mbappe than it is for Real Madrid, because Real Madrid already have Jude Bellingham, Vinicius, Valverde. Their list goes on. Rodrigo, Camavinga, Militão.
It goes on. It goes on.
Arda
All right.
Güler. It goes on and on. So much.
But you bring up a good point about Bergvall. 10 million from Djurgårdens in the Allsvenskan seems steep, but this kid is freakish. He's 6'2" at 17 years old, but he moves like he's, Messi's size. He's fast. He's really good in possession. He doesn't matter getting stuck in. He will track back, and he can be a 10. I see his future as just a midfield kind of 8 destroyer 2 type of hybrid. I would spend 10 million as chump change on this kid, in my humble opinion. And you said this is Real Madrid or is this Barcelona? No, this is Barcelona going
Barcelona
after, right?
type player.
But Barcelona also they've got already Noah Darvish, and I guess if you're using Noah Darvish, who is not quite the same role as Lucas Bergvall, but using him as a monetary kind of reference point, he only cost 3 million.
True.
Right? So I guess they have to play some
and
softball
5
or some
million.
hardball, I should say. And if they get a Bergvall for 7 with a couple things on, thrown on there in the future, some clauses or whatever that he can meet performance-wise, I wonder if they could still do it. But with that said,
if
I want to see
if they sign Lucas Bergvall for 10 million, they would have signed Noah Darvish, Lucas Bergvall, and Pedri for less than 25 million.
Yeah.
That's
and who else? They're signing from was it from Mali?
Ibrahim Diarra.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Phenomenal. Yeah. Great player. Yeah. I think the star of Mali's under 17 were. Yeah.
And it didn't show up in our media over in the States, but I have to ask you, have you seen anything as to why against basically an amateur team, against the Unionistas, why Vitor Roque only gets 8 minutes off the bench?
Completely agree with you. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I was expecting him to start that game, but not to see photos of him on the bench with next to Lewandowski. No. I think
so. You were just as.
I was shocked.
Yeah, I was
shocked.
Yeah.
And mentioning Vitor Roque in this case too, I wanted to say I was shocked with Roma sacking Jose Mourinho right now. I'm not gonna hate on the decision, but what I'm more shocked is with the Brazil Federation, because the Brazil Federation waits a whole year for Carlo Ancelotti, but they don't wait 1 week for Jose Mourinho. 1 week?
Yeah.
They should have contacted Jose Mourinho. He's better than Dorival. Jose Mourinho in a tournament, an international tournament with Brazil, with any top international team, they would be feared.
Yeah.
And one day, you soon will see. It could be Portugal, even maybe like in England after Southgate. I don't know, but I fully believe international football one day will come for Jose Mourinho. But yes, Vitor Roque should 100% play that game against in Copa del Rey.
Yeah, let's play a little choose your own adventure. Greg Berhalter doesn't do so hot with the U.S. at the Copa America. USA opens up.
No.
Jose Mourinho?
No. No.
Come
like,
on.
Look.
Come
With
on.
all
No.
fairness, Paul Fonseca.
Yeah.
If you could convince a Paul Fonseca to coach the U.S. men's national team, but it would have to be a blank check type situation. Because I think they see it as like their last job, the national team.
Our federation doesn't do blank checks, unfortunately. I don't think. I mean, if they had Bielsa in front of them and Bielsa actually interested, and they said, "Nah, we're good with Greg Berhalter," it ain't ever happening from a blank check perspective. So we shouldn't even think about a Jose Mourinho. And I don't even know if it would actually jive like with our player pool. But you know, it certainly would make for good drama.
It would.
And good excitement.
And
my goodness.
Since we're mentioning now Jose Mourinho, we mentioned Barcelona transfers, Lucas Bergvall transfers. That's the big topic right now. What are the transfers that you're excited to see that happened this week?
Oh my gosh. Well, let's start with not a lot has been going well for John Textor as of late. Botafogo's, implosion.
Biggest puddle job
then you've got
ever.
Lyon. Yeah, Lyon's sitting in the relegation zone. I think he's an owner of Crystal Palace too, and they just got shellacked by Arsenal.
5-0.
5-0, which Arsenal needed, let's be honest.
True.
But listen, there is a shred of hope. Lyon hasn't started winning a lot of games, but they have one more than they had previously that saw them bottom of the Ligue 1 table. And I'd like to report a crime, Alex, because Lyon have gone in and have raided everything of KAA Ghent's, of Ghent's future, especially their attacking future. And I know we're going to sit here and we're going to talk about the one they just got over the line, but that's not the one I see as the biggest one. And the 21-year-old Gift Orban, who has slowed down as of late, he kind of been pushed out of Ghent's starting lineup, but we all remember last year's 20 goals in 22 games for him to start. 21-year-old striker with a ridiculous upside, coming off a snub for AFCON, even though Nigeria lost Victor Boniface. They didn't call him in. They called Terem Mafi. They ended up getting this over the line for cheap, for 15 million euros. But, Alex, that is not the best signing. 18-year-old Malik Fofana is the best signing.
Belgium,
he can
Wonderkid.
play in the center of the pitch. He can play on the wing. He is still growing into it, but he has got feet of gold with Rayon Cherki up there. I mean, at least Lyon will be entertained. 18 years old, and I am most excited about that. They spent 17 million on him. I'm sad to see him leave Ghent because he was just growing into a leadership role at Ghent. But Malik Fofana is a bigger signing for me than Gift Orban. But if Gift Orban can learn from Lacazette, if he can learn, no, it's literally just Lacazette there. I think there is another player, but Gift Orban should do well. But Fofana is the one I am watching from here on out.
Gift Orban, very interesting player. Gift Orban at Genk in the past was the player to score the fastest hat trick ever in European competitions. Gift Orban is the first Nigerian ever to sign for Lyon. Gift Orban scored 32 goals in 52 games for Genk, and I completely agree with you. 13 million is a bargain. I got 13 million on my end, but even if it was 15, I'm with you too. It's a bargain on that end too.
Yeah, but okay, you've still got Maxence Kakare, and I know he's not really an attacker,
You
but
got
he's only
Lucas
23.
Perry now from Botafogo.
Yep.
Adrielson,
Yep.
that was signed for chump cheap.
You've got Rayon Cherki still. You've got Gift Orban. You've got Malik Fofana. You still have Ernest Nuama, who is a wonderful right to dream signing from FC Nordsjælland. They are doing the right things and they're not spending too much to do it.
True.
But if you can ingratiate these players with what I believe is still a very, very robust and potent Lyon Academy. I mean, they're called Les Gons for a reason, right? We should see Lyon resurrect themselves. Not this year, but maybe next year, maybe the year after that. But these players have to be given time to grow in, and I guess they're going to have to hold on to Cherky because I know that's kind of a question mark too, isn't it?
That's true. That's also a question mark. In Ryan Cherky's future, well, that all depends on himself, his routine, the way he thinks, and what he's going to do at Lyon. Because he's got to create an impact at Lyon to then prove himself to go to another team. Barcola went to PSG. That was lucky for him. But Ryan Cherky, in my view, needs to prove himself at Lyon and then go somewhere else. And I think Barcola had really good games beforehand. So...
Yeah, and I think that hurt them a lot. Barcola leaving. I mean, they got good money, but they didn't know how to spend it, and then that early part of this season just spiraled out of control. So they're using that money on Malik Fofana and Gift Orban, and now I'm looking over at Ghent and saying, what? Like, who's next? Because Ghent is the club that helped develop Jonathan David before he moved to Lille.
True.
I'm sure they've got somebody in the arrears. I think there is an 18-year-old Spaniard, Matias Fernandez, maybe. But there are people to watch there, but it's tough for them to see literally their whole promise, attacking prowess, just ripped right out from them when they're actually in the running for a Belgian Pro League title now. But anyway,
Royal
that's it on
Saint-Gilloise. It's a very, very difficult league now to win. You got Club Brugge, a much better team. Royal Saint-Gilloise, a much better team. It's completely understandable. And Club Brugge right now has one of the biggest stars in the January transfer window to watch. Antoine Nusa could be going to Tottenham. And that would be a terrific signing. Another terrific signing by Ange Postecoglou. He's played more than 60 games for Club Brugge, and he's an extremely skillful winger at 18. Vicario, Mickey van de Ven, not Pape Matar, he was already there. But James Maddison, phenomenal transfers. And all have made a difference here with Ange Postecoglou. The midfield, this is something that for me is underrated. The midfield of Tottenham, of Bentancur, Pape Matar, or Bissouma, and James Maddison, to be assembled in such a short period of time, in the first season of Ange Postecoglou, speaks levels of how good he is of a manager. So he could win a title for Tottenham in the next 2 years. You gotta believe in Big Ange. Give him the transfers. Paratici, he's giving it.
Yeah, and I think Antonio Nusa is going to provide what they thought Brian Heel was going to provide for them, and it just still has not worked out. But if Nusa gets across the line, I think the biggest thing is, is it worth the $30 million? But it's another talking point. I know we said this a little bit last week. You look at just this rich. I mean, I've just pulled it up so I don't forget a name. Right, under 23 years old Norwegian talents. Come on. Erling Haaland is still 23 years old. Up until July 21st of this year, he will be 23 years old. Antonio Nusa, 18. Oscar Bob, 20. We saw that goal the other day. You've got Andreas Schelderup, who went back to FC Nordjylland, but will come back with a vengeance and is still an immense talent at only 19 years old. He's your left winger as well, him and Nusa, but he can play in the middle. Sverre Nipan, who plays for Rosenborg. I'm probably saying his name wrong and his club's name wrong. I heard that in the comments, people. But 17 years old, he's got all the tools to be a great midfielder.
That's an interesting one too. True. So you're saying a list of under 23 players of Norway. List of under 23 players of Norway with Haaland, with Antonio Nusa, with Sheldrup, with Nipan. Who more?
Bob. Oscar Bob. And you know what that's missing, Alex, is I know what people are saying is like attack doesn't always win everything. They need more defensive talents. And if you're going to build a team, you're going to need to find, I guess, let's see, some old Norwegian defenders. Come on, help me out. Henning Berg, is that one, or was he Swedish? Who was the other? Who is Holland's dad? Right?
Yeah, yes.
So yeah,
So
I
why are
mean,
you mentioning
Norway,
that?
if they
They got Frederick
well,
Oshins
because
that can play at fullbacks. Yes.
they do, but they need center backs. They need a good goalkeeper. They need
Mm-hmm.
a whole lot more if they're going to compete for the 2026 World Cup. That's what I'm saying. As we can tell, a lot of their talents right now, all that wonderful, wonderful talent that we just talked about, a lot of it is flank heavy,
Mm-hmm.
wing heavy, and they
True.
need more centrally. Obviously, they've got Martin Odegaard, who's above 23, but he is not old in any way, shape, or form.
Thunderbirds too.
But yeah, they just need more help. But if they don't qualify for the 2026 World Cup, the same way they didn't qualify for the 2024 Euros, it is a travesty with this much talent. It is a
Well,
travesty with this much talent.
Well, a
So
future of Norway national team with Haaland in front, with Antoine Nuz on one wing, Sheldrup on the other, Oscar Bob may be involved too, Sver Nipan
yep,
involved, Odgaard involved, Sander Berge
mhm,
involved, Fredrik Orsens
yep.
involved, and many other names that are going up right now. I think Norway could be going to not just the World Cup one day, to the Euros too. That
Yes.
I miss Holland in international competitions because he's such a big
Yeah, well,
reference in other at club level. But I wanted to
well,
mention too on transfers, like this
mhm,
contingent of Tottenham players going to Bayern Munich. Harry Kane
mhm.
went to Bayern Munich, and now Eric Dyer went after. And people are saying Kieran Trippier, if they don't win a title, that's what they're gonna blame. That's what they're gonna
Yeah.
blame, and it makes no sense, but it weirdly connects. It's one of
Yeah,
those
I mean, I
things.
guess, I guess it connects. We haven't even like Dyer's barely even played a minute, if at all, and we're already seeing it as it's a headline success, but we'll see if it's actually an on the field success. It should be, but yeah, Kieran Trippier would be, I mean,
It would confirm
absolutely
Alfonso
crucial.
Davies leaving.
Yeah, and that's probably almost a guarantee, right? In the near future,
To Real
Alfonso
Madrid.
Davies, Real Madrid. I think it might be true, but like Kieran Trippier, it just seems there's so much more work to do at Newcastle,
Hmm.
and I haven't seen any real understanding that he's unhappy or like needs a new challenge or whatever. I mean, this Newcastle they got Champions League football or had Champions League football. They should be able to get it again, but it's looking
Newcastle.
increasingly tough to do
No,
so.
no, no.
Yeah,
I don't think they're getting Champions League football. They got it because Liverpool didn't get it.
it's true.
I don't know,
Yeah, I don't know.
Benson.
We'll see.
I
We'll
think,
see.
look, Newcastle, I think this, the regulation talk is what's changing everything right now. I think Newcastle, every window, I'm expecting a big move. And I think they might be getting it too. Newcastle have signed Anthony Gordon in the past, Alexander Isak in the past, Bruno Guimaraes in the past, and now we're starting to see levels of like Diomande. Tonali was signed in the past too. So I think their policy is present and future impact, and that comes with
Sure.
a big cost. So I think selling Kieran Trippier would make sense if you have Tino Livramento in your
It
books. So
it doesn't. Remember, well, Lewis Hall, was he bought outright or is he
he
on loan?
was bought.
He's bought outright. Yeah. So you got
Expensive.
Lewis Hall on the other end. Yeah. No, he was expensive. For how much he's played for them, he was expensive. So yeah, no, I see your point. And yet they're still trotting out Dan Burn at left back, but it very well could happen. Although I just feel like that's counter to what Bayern
Exactly.
expects to be, maybe.
Well, and you're saying
trying to think-
counter on what you expect. This was certainly something I wasn't expect. That it was to see Jordan Henderson sign for Ajax. And whoever disrespects the fact that he goes to Ajax, he goes to one of the most historic clubs in European
Does.
football. Football heritage right there. And they like to sign experienced players, and they need experience in this locker room. Tadic has left. Daley Blind has left. They need new references. And Jordan Henderson, I find it interesting, and I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
I agree. This is almost exactly what Ajax needs right now. Like you mentioned, leadership, somebody that's won, somebody that's done it at the highest level, because they're running out a bunch of young guys for the most part for Ajax. They've sold all of their legends for the most part, and they're building new ones. And they've, just like Lyon, they've had an incredibly terrible start to the Eredivisie season, not to mention in Europe. And they're starting to fight their way out of the basement. And actually, they're going to be fighting for Champions League football in the Eredivisie by the end of the year. It's going to be tough, but they can do it. But Jordan Henderson, it's a great signing for them, although it does kind of ill me to hear that Jordan Henderson broke some sort of jersey sales record for Ajax, considering the amount of actual legends that have developed at Ajax. But I get it. It's an Englishman coming to the Eredivisie and coming with a pedigree that Jordan Henderson has. I guess I do understand it. It's certainly a
it cringes
outlier,
when there's Cruyff.
a normal thing.
It cringes you when
Yeah.
Cruyff has existed.
Exactly. Not to mention others, right? Whether it's Suarez, whether it's
Exactly.
Davies, whether it's there's
Even a
just so
Frankie
many
de Jong.
legends that have gone through it.
Even
a Frankie, even anyone from that from that
Ligt.
Eric Ten Hag
De Ligt
kind
and
of
Frankie.
masterclass Ajax team. Yeah, but listen, I do want to bring it up, right? Because no, anyone that's saying like the Saudi project is dead, it's not. This is one situation. I know there's a couple other rumblings out there. No, the Saudi teams are going to be throwing money at new players. They're already talking about people. What I just don't really understand here is, from a sporting, at least taking the club Al Ittifaq, right, which is where Jordan Henderson left. And Jordan Henderson left behind Steven Gerrard, and they have won one game in the last 11 games. And yet right after this, their deflection was, let's sign Steven Gerrard to a 2-year extension, even though we're not winning at all, right? In order to deflect from the Jordan Henderson leaving type of situation. I'm going to reiterate. I don't want to see the Saudi project necessarily fail in any way, shape, or form, but I do want to see, like, what is the expectation? Is it literally just to get the 2034 World Cup?
2025 FIFA Club World Cup. They want to have a big team.
Yeah, but like,
Al Hilal,
do they want?
scary.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to see development. I want to see whatever. But yeah, Jordan Henderson to Ajax after 6 months. No matter which way you want to, put it. As much as Cristiano Ronaldo has been a success for Al Nassr, as much as he's been a success for the Saudi Pro League, Jordan Henderson does not meet the flip side criteria of that being that big of a failure. It's one player. We all knew Jordan Henderson probably wasn't going to assimilate well and translate well to the Saudi Pro League, and it's not surprising that it didn't turn out.
It's true.
Right? That
is
way.
True. Well said.
So,
well said.
yeah.
And turning out, and because we're mentioning transfers, I wanted to mention
Yeah.
Marcos Leonardo. Marcos Leonardo cost Benfica 18 million. And yes, Vitor Roque and Hendrik, they're big talents as striker for Brazil. But I guarantee you, put Marcos Leonardo in that talk too. For the little I've seen in 2 games, the positive impact he's had, please watch Benfica play with Anatoly Trubin, with João Neves, with Antonio Silva, with Marcos Leonardo, with Morato, with the future prospects and ballers in the top 5 leagues. These players are going to be football heritage. I believe in what I'm seeing. And I'm going to say Trubin is one of the best young goalkeepers in the world. Antonio Silva is one of the best center back Wonderkids in the world. João Neves is the best midfielder in the Portuguese league and one of the best young midfielders in the world. And Marcos Leonardo, put him in that talk. Hendrik, Vitor Roque, and Marcos Leonardo is the future of Brazil. And all of them are at Benfica. Prestiani, Sheldrup coming. There's others. Tomás Araújo, I really like to watch this center back. Benfica rejected 15 million offers for Tomás Araújo. So if Antonio Silva does leave for the 100 million, Morato, Tomás Araújo to replace Otamendi, Antonio Silva, the starting duo we see, is completely doable.
Yeah.
And it's good structure.
And they've been. Well, Marcos Leonardo's got to start at some point soon. But those 2 goals that he's had come in less than 50 minutes playing time so far. And
47.
I just have to bring up with you talking about Marcos Leonardo. Think about the low that he came from with Santos, and think about the high he's feeling now. That's a hell of a range of emotion for a 20-year-old to have gone through over just the last few months, right? So I am sure Benfica is just so ecstatic to have him there. and to see a future that might put Artur Cabral on the bench. Nothing against him.
Or playing together.
He's just not. Yeah, or playing. You're right, and that could actually work out. But it is great to see him coming off a young career and all that he did in those 13 goals he scored for Santos. To see it end like that, but to see him pick it back up with Benfica right away is kind of nice. But I do have to bring up. Yeah, I got to bring up one more transfer that got over. We mentioned it last week, but Brighton continues to just play the football manager god game, right? Bringing in Valentin Barco from Boca Juniors. It's done. They convinced him of the project. I don't think he needed too much convincing. They're only paying 9 to 10 million euros. Probably have to pay more in clauses. But when you're looking at it, I know there have been some misses here. We talked about one previously with Gyökeres, but they can build almost a complete 11 of prospects, Alex, that are under 23 years old and that have not even hit their prime or even come close to their prime yet, of prospects that could grow into players that could wind up making them 100% profit off of what they spent. Okay, so you've got at goalkeeper Bart Verbruggen. At left back, you've got Colo Barco. Center back, that's where they're lacking a little bit. But they've got Jean-Paul Van Heck, who's been pretty good, 23, might have just turned 24. But I think they're going to be going for a center back relatively soon. I think you might see like a Zeno Di Bast from Anderlecht. You might see, hell, they could go for a Lenny Yoro. But center back's where they're lacking. Right back, they've built Jack Hinchelwood, although he's more of a midfielder that they've turned into a right back, left back. They've got Carlos Baleba, who we have not seen played his best, but we know his quality for Lille. They've got Facundo Buonanotte, who's taken more of an advanced role, but has not yet shown us what, that razor sharpness that we want to see. And then up top, you've got Adingra, you've got Evan Ferguson, you've got Adrian Mazzillo, young winger from Romania that everybody is really high on, that they paid $3 million for. Julio Enciso's not back yet. I love this team's transfer policy, and I hope it continues. I hope they don't gut that scouting department, that they don't gut their back office to the point where we don't see this anymore for Brighton. But those names are going to make a fortune for Brighton in the future.
Just think that they sell Moises Caicedo for 120 million. They get Baleba, and they still could sign all the players that you mentioned and still maybe have a profit. That's mad. It really is. It's a robbery.
Yeah, and I know and with this type of turnover and with these young players, obviously you get some games that don't look very De Serbi Brighton-like, and you've seen that this season.
Happens.
But if if their worst season is mid-table and their best season is qualifying for Europe, I mean, think about where you've come from, Brighton fans. Like, that is just unbelievable. And to sustain it, it's not a relegation fight like David Moyes and West Ham had to go through after 3 straight eighth places. This is really cool stuff that's happening in the Premier League right now. And you got a really cool young owner.
It's
Tony
Cucurella.
So
it's Graham Potter that was sold even for 20 million at that time. Like, it's good business. That's what Brighton does.
It's great business.
But let us know down below,
Barker.
what have we missed from the transfers down below. And the last topic in this podcast, because yes, we loved talking at the start and we love talking about transfers, but it's mandatory to mention the best, no, not the best tournament, but the best international tournament right now. It's going against the Asian Cup, and we don't need to put people mad. They're both great tournaments, okay? Japan did lose. Japan lost.
Yeah.
So that was like mad, but we're going to mention just that. But AFCON. AFCON is the tournament that I was hinting on. Got to be mentioned. And how are you feeling with AFCON, Breton?
I think it's just unrivaled. In the parody of it all, it gives me CONCACAF vibes.
The Ghana manager.
Oh
my days.
Over here we see Trinidad and Tobago beat the U.S. men's national team, right, with a population disparity of over 330 million people.
Oof.
And in Africa, in AFCON, you get the same thing. Namibia beating Tunisia. Okay, not the population difference, but the infrastructure difference and the amount of players, professional players versus literally playing against amateur players. You got so much shocking stuff that happens that it's impossible anyone that tries to bet on these games, it's impossible to do so. You've got Ghana in a predicament. You've got Egypt in a predicament. You've got
Ivory Coast
Nigeria
losing to
wasn't
Nigeria.
looking good until they won. Yeah. Cape Verde winning their first 2 games. Kudos to former Philadelphia Union midfielder Jamiro Montero and current MLS Cup champion Steven Moreira. I just
what you saying
love
on Cape
it.
Verde?
I love
Cape Verde is the first nation to be qualified for the round of 16 of AFCON in a group with
That's amazing.
Ghana, in a group with Mozambique, in a group with Egypt.
Yeah.
This is remarkable for Cape Verde to do. Shout out to Jovan
It is.
Cabral. What a player he is. And I love that at AFCON, he's getting the deserved recognition. But let's see. Who are your favorites right now for AFCON? Because Ivory Coast lost to Nigeria.
I know.
Correct? That favorite, Bretson.
They did, and it was a pretty uninspired game against Nigeria because Nigeria, they don't look great. They won on a penalty. It was Victor Osimhen one penalty. I think it was Trustakong that put it away. But yeah, no. Here's the thing: AFCON is lenient. There are third-place teams that get in as well. They got a round of 16. I mean, pretty much everybody gets in unless you lose all your whatever, all your group stage games. So I still have the Ivory Coast as a favorite. I still believe that that Nigeria is not a favorite to win this thing. I don't like the looks of Egypt, and I don't like the looks of them even more without a Mo Salah, who likely will miss the rest of the group stage and maybe their first round of 16 game. So I'm going to say that it is still Ivory Coast as a favorite for me, but next to them, Senegal looks pretty dang good and looks incredibly convincing in a tough group that is Gambia, Guinea, and Cameroon. So I'm going to say those are my 2 favorites right now.
My 2 favorites is Senegal and Morocco. I think those 2 teams are phenomenal. Morocco it's their golden generation, first African team to get to the semis.
It is.
And this Senegal team has Sadio Mane, a star, and he's rising to that level. Like, I really feel the responsibility on Sadio Mane. But the nation that we didn't say, it's the biggest disappointment of AFCON for me, it's Algeria. Algeria, since winning AFCON in 2019, they haven't won a game in their last 5. Ooh. How can that happen to such a good national team? A team that should be passing in their group. They didn't beat Burkina Faso 2-2. A team that's tough, but they had to win that game. Yeah. They had to do better. And shout out to Burkina Faso because they're going through. And it's a difficult game, and they proved themselves with that one. And I want to say, Onana was the last player to arrive at AFCON, and he's the first to leave. How disappointing is it to Cameroon to have an international display like they did? Algeria, Cameroon, they need to do better when you have Morocco, when you have Senegal, when you have Nigeria, young team that is snubbing a gift tournament, not even to go. Like, it's different now. Mali's strong. Guinea's strong. Cape Verde's strong. Angola's becoming stronger. Mozambique's becoming stronger. Competition is rising. Cape Verde, yeah. Cape Verde for sure.
I'm kidding.
Well, true.
Listen, the Onana thing, not only that, I mean, the display that he had, I'm not going to say he's the reason Cameroon lost, because it wasn't just him. They didn't play very well. But he also made some pretty bad judgment calls.
Like the Champions League.
It's one thing it's one thing to show up late. It's another thing to show up late and play bad. That's kind of like not great. And I understand Cameroon kind of relies on him in that sense, but they at least got a point out of their first game when I believe it was Fabrice Andoa, who happens to be Andre Onana's cousin, was the goalkeeper. He was the one between the sticks, and they at least got a point. And listen, Cameroon will likely still make it through. They play bottom of the table, Gambia next, and you just need to be one of the better third-place teams to at least get into the round of 16, and then, you never know what's going to happen beyond that. Oh. But I'm with you. I am impressed with, or not impressed with Cameroon. I am not impressed like Tunisia. Losing that first game was pretty shocking. I thought they were stronger than that. And Ghana, you have a game like Kudus has, and you still lose it.
And you get
It's
Mo
pretty
Salah
shocking.
injured.
1 loss, 1 draw.
And still
Yeah.
don't win it?
Yeah.
No,
It's interesting.
I think Kudus is the best player at AFCON right now. I think for the impact he had in that game, I know it's one game, Kudus, but like what I got the sense of with that game, it's in the Egypt against Ghana, Kudus grabbed that game for Ghana. Kudus, I feel the responsibility of him being the best player in his national team. It's not Thomas Partey anymore. Yep. The future of Ghana is with the future of Mohamed Kudus. And people are starting to talk about Anthony going to Man United and not Kudus. So Erik ten Hag got that choice. He did that choice. Yeah. And Kudus will become a Ghana legend and a West Ham legend. Don't forget that he's got 6 goals and 1 assist for West Ham until now in the Premier League. What a signing that he is shown to be. The future of Ghana.
And also a historic moment for something that we brought up earlier. We talked about Ernest Nuama, but Mohamed Kudus becomes the first Right to Dream product. The fuel behind FC Nordsjælland and the fuel behind Simon Adingra and a lot of these other names that have circulated right into our purview, into what we watch every day and what we're so impressed with. But Mohamed Kudus becomes the first Right to Dream product, I should say, to score in AFCON, which is pretty awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. And I only say that, Alex, because the next MLS franchise is in San Diego, and the Right to Dream is going to have an academy right there, and they are part owners, or they are, in cahoots with that San Diego franchise. So it's going to be really interesting to see what type of project they put together on the West Coast here in the States. But we all know how amazing and all the products that have come from Right to Dream through that FC Nordsjælland and that Superliga, Alka Superliga pipeline. And it's just so cool to watch. But anyway, I think Ghana will bounce back. The only other name I really wanted to mention was 20-year-old Lamine Camara.
Yes, I was going to mention him. That midfield, the midfield of Senegal. It's Sadio Mane and the midfield of Senegal with the youth, Pape Matar Sarr, Pape Gueye, and with Lamine
Camara. And it's that generation foot, man. It's really starting to come together in terms of a lot of their products, and they've got that stepping stone to FC Metz, and then they move on there. But in his debut, he scores a brace, right? He had a little more of a muted part of the midfield crew campaign in his second game, but the midfielder is definitely pretty special to watch, as is that whole Senegalese team. I think they have a very good shot. You're right, Morocco, I for some reason forgot, but between Ivory Coast, Morocco, and Senegal, I just love the AFCON. It's just great. I wish I could see all the games in its entirety, but anytime you got this type of forced parity, it's wonderful to see. Like, I can't get over some of these games, like Namibia winning, Cape Verde with their 2 wins. You just don't see this that often in the Euros. But I think you will moving forward as you expand the playing field. Or you're going to see lopsided 8-0 wins.
Well, if you check last podcast, episode 139, we have Bretson's predictions for 2024, in which he does refer to one of these predictions about the Euros. But we'll talk much more about the Euros closer to the date. And going with Sadio Mane has scored in 4 consecutive AFCON competitions. In 2017, in 2019, in 2021, and now in 2023. A legend of Senegal, and in their first 2 games, Senegal has 6 goals and 1 conceded. Favorites with Morocco. And if we talk about Morocco in AFCON, in World Cup, in any international context, we know Amrabat is balling, we know Hakimi is balling, and we know Onahi is balling out. This man, when he plays for the Morocco national team, is elite. The footwork, the skill, you just can't stop him. So please, if you can, watch Morocco play with Walid Regragui, an international historic team. It's heritage. It's their golden generation, as we always say.
My only downside with Morocco right now is it's too little Bilal El Khanous. I need to see more Bilal, but I get it.
Played 20 minutes.
For Morocco is royalty. Yeah, he played 20 minutes. I'd like to see Amir Richardson too, but they have, like, I'm just saying, They've got the established presence, those guys that hauled them to historic semifinal World Cup status. And then they also have, Alex, the players behind him that will take up the mantle and give them depth in the future. Morocco's scary in a good way, in a very good way for now and for the future.
Who should sign Bilal El Kanous?
Oh my gosh, from Genk to
why not Sporting? If Sporting get Bilal El Kanous, they win the league.
like a Gonçalves, like a Pot replacement?
No, not a Pot replacement, but just a backup to have with him. Marcus Edwards will eventually leave behind the striker.
Yeah.
That would be interesting, Bilal El Kanous. But do you think Bilal El Kanous has the talent to go to the Premier League, to a Crystal Palace, to a Wolves, to a Brighton, and start?
I would see a Liga move, or like you just mentioned, a Liga Portugal move for Bilal El Kanous before going to the Premier League.
Go to Sporting or Porto or Benfica, but Benfica got cockshoe. It'll be hard.
But I could also see like a Stade Rennais,
that could
or
happen.
a Lille if they have the money. Hell, PSG, but I don't know. But yeah, Bilal El Kanous is going to be fought for. I mean, even La Liga could do well with him, like a Girona.
Sevilla.
But I don't think they play with Sevilla.
Sevilla would be interesting for a Moroccan player. El Nesri is there, so it would be an interesting match. But let us know.
But that is something to watch for the future because he will leave. And I think Genk knows that. It's going to be how much for.
Mm-hmm. It gives Kevin De Bruyne vibes right there, right? Same position too.
Does.
We're not saying he's as good as Kevin De Bruyne, but he's got potential in him. World-class potential. Bilal El Kanous. So let us know. What have we missed on AFCON? What have we missed in episode 140? Let us know down below. The start bench cell choices too at the start. The awards ceremony talk. We had so much to talk in this podcast. But what topics do you want to see for episode 141? Comment down below. Hashtag new topic and say it. Refer to it. New topic and say your suggestion. We will know that you have listened until the end on YouTube. Thank you for listening to episode 140 until now. And thank you for going bold with us another week. Thank you, Brett.